Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is D-Ron, or you can also call me Mazes, and today I'm going to be doing a gameplay review for Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. Now, whilst I did not record a full playthrough of this game, because I didn't know how it would go, and this was the first opportunity I really had to just play a game on my own for a long time. I didn't really record this playthrough, but I did record some moments of gameplay that were really action-packed, and they were sort of the highlights from the game, and hence I decided to record them, and you are seeing them now just for gameplay in the background. Now, this game, before I jump into it, I know a lot of people want overall reviews straight away, and they don't want to have to watch a full video to know how a game is. So I'll tell you right from the get-go, overall, the game is not the best game of its genre, but it is very unique. It is quite a niche game, and it is very enjoyable. It is definitely a solid FPS. I'll definitely have to give it that. If I were to rate it out of 10, I would give it probably a 7 out of a 10. But the first thing I want to talk about is what this game does really well. So the first thing that this game does well is a unique gameplay element. Now, this unique gameplay element is probably the selling point of this game. It's one of the main features, and I feel like it has to be talked about, it has to be addressed first, because it probably is the most important thing. So, first of all, you can do a lot in this game. There are really cool gory and really cool bloody kill combinations. There are about 131 different types of unique kills and combinations you can do to kill your enemies, and that is really diverse, and the game recognizes every single technique that you implement fairly accurately, really well. And there are a lot of goofy things on the side as well, and most of these skill shots don't seem like you have to force them a lot on your own. A lot of them can happen naturally, and that sort of natural thing is really good for a game. It just makes the experience overall more enjoyable, especially for achievement hunters out there. But overall, the types of kills you can get, the chains of kills you can get, the combination of score you can get are really awesome. So that is definitely a strength. The second strength, I would say, would have to be the types of weapons. Now, a weakness is that there are only around 9 different weapons you can use, whereas in a lot of other games there's a larger variety of weapons. But the thing is, what you can do is there is an ability for every gun called a charged ability, and this is a unique ability that you unlock as you use the weapon, and it allows you to perform a unique type of shot that is, obviously you have to charge it using the R1 and R2 button and pressing them at the same time, and it's usually a one-shot kill, and it's really enjoyable. You may see it occasionally throughout this gameplay where some enemies just get absolutely obliterated in one shot. For example, like the rifle that you're seeing right now, the one with the 50 bullets in the magazine. If you use that charge shot, it literally pulverizes the enemy and turns them into sort of this volcanic dust. It's a really enjoyable experience, really gory, and the unique kill combinations, that is definitely a major selling point for this game. It definitely makes it very awesome. And yep, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second strength of this game is the characters. So there are many different characters, however the main ones that you'll see are Serrano, who is sort of the antagonist. He is a rogue military commando who makes you, the main character, kill a lot of innocent people to mask Serrano's own agenda, which is quite a standard plot in video games. You know, manipulation, rogue. It's a big theme. So in that aspect, it's a bit of a weakness in that the storyline isn't too different from what you see in other FPS games. It's fairly bland, fairly average, but in my opinion, if you're going into this game, which clearly markets itself as comedic and really outgoing, if you go and a really funny FPS. If you go into it expecting an absolutely unique story, I think you're looking at the wrong game. But again, the characters, they're so unique, they're so comedic, they each have different elements about them, such as Ishii, who's this sort of cyborg who gets morphed because of some accident that happens. He has to basically be morphed into a cyborg, half-human mix in order to survive, to replace the damaged limbs in his body. And it's really interesting, the dynamic between Ishii, who is one of the protagonists, your own character, and another female character who is introduced later, who I won't go too in depth about, otherwise this video will be too long. But the character interactions are really funny, the dialogue is absolutely incredible, and it makes the creators of this game make it very apparent that there is a relationship between these characters. A lot of the times the dialogue between characters can just seem stiff, and it almost suggests that there isn't a real relationship. A lot of these developers tend to make characters independent of each other, whereas in this game you really see how the characters work together, and how the story of one is based on the stories of all of the rest of the characters. There's that clear link, a clear development in the narrative, and it really, the way you see it progress and blossom as the game progresses is really great, and that's a definite strong point of this game. So those are the two main strong points of this game. Just the unique types of kill combinations you can get, which is absolutely the biggest selling point of this game, as well as the characters. Those, I think, are this game's strengths. Also, I would put this in like a neutral category. I'd say the graphics are passable for the time. They're not incredible, but I mean it's okay. It's excusable considering that there isn't really like a massive developer working on this game, so it's passable. It's okay. I'm not too fussed with the graphics. Again, don't come into this game looking for impeccable graphics. If you are, you're looking at the wrong game. It's more cartoon-esque. It's really enjoyable though, and I would recommend that you give this game a shot, because especially if you got it for free on PSN like I did, and that's the only real reason why I did decide to check out this game. But now the weaknesses of this game I'll go into now. I already alluded to one of the weaknesses before, but the storyline, like the narrative plot of the game, is what you'd expect. It follows a traditional trajectory. Sorry, I can never say that word. Where you basically got you're working for someone, find out they're rogue, and you got to try and kill them. It's nothing new. It's nothing you've seen in video games, and that's kind of disappointing for those who really want to get invested in the story, because in this story you won't get invested. Okay guys, so the second thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the weaknesses of this game is the fact that the game is very repetitive. You do a lot of the same things, which is basically you explore a new area, you have to do quick time events, which is a fairly old format, but given the age of this game, I think it's acceptable that quick time events was still a thing in it. I mean, they could have innovated, but they chose not to, which is okay, because they innovated in other areas such as the combat, so I'm not going to hold the devs too accountable for that. But one weakness is definitely going to be in just the repetitiveness. They could have done something about that, so that's not excusable, and I will hold them accountable for that, because you basically just complete quick time events and shoot different types of enemies and shoot mini bosses. Now I know that's basically what you do in all the games, but there's literally nothing else. There isn't any sort of driving of a vehicle, there isn't any sort of communicating with different NPCs. I mean, really, it's just the same 3 to 4 core characters the whole game, which is in a sense good, because they do develop on these characters quite a bit, but there isn't a lot of variety, and I think they had an opportunity to go more in depth with what you do and vary the tasks of what you do a lot more, but they just didn't, and that's very unfortunate, because it makes the game quite boring. And I found it to be enjoyable at the start, because it was the unique gameplay, the unique combinations that kept me invested in the game. But towards the last hour or so of the gameplay, I just wanted it to be over. I just wanted to get my trophy for completing the game, and I just wanted to be done with it, in all honesty. But yeah, it's just, that's another weakness. It's just the tasks are too repetitive. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the third weakness of the game. So the third weakness of the game is that I'll put it under the general category of glitches. So there are two types of glitches that I've encountered in this game, or sort of bugs, you know, just sort of annoying things to deal with. The first thing is the hit registration. I found it to be very inconsistent. At one point I'll be shooting at an enemy's head and it'll hit, and I felt like it really shouldn't have hit, and at other times I'll be aiming directly at the head, and I can almost guarantee you that I'm definitely aiming at the head with complete certainty, yet I won't get the hit marker to show that the hit is registered, or I won't get a noise, or I won't hear the blood splatter. So it was just inconsistent. I mean, again, you could argue that, oh, it's just a third party developer, so it's to be expected. They're fairly small, they're almost indie, but I still don't think that, I mean, it's still a criticism of the game. You have to, you know, I'm trying to give you guys an honest reflection of the game and what you'll find if you try and play it. So I just found the hit registration to be fairly inadequate for the type of game that you are playing. And the second type of glitches and bugs that I encountered are just general things, like, for example, there was one very annoying glitch that I found where in a mission they would start a cutscene up, and then all of a sudden one of the characters who is meant to be there and is integral in order for the cutscene to play suddenly disappears, and that is a big problem because the game just breaks after that. It just doesn't continue after that, and I couldn't progress further in the game. This was the biggest and most prominent instances of a bug being very annoying, and that was the biggest bug I found. But there were also other general bugs, just like with picking up weapons, with purchasing ammo. There are small bugs that I did notice, but those small bugs didn't take away too much from the gaming experience. But definitely that big bug that I mentioned about the NPC, that was a huge bug for the game, and it definitely should have been fixed. So just be careful of that when you're playing. But otherwise, I don't really think there is too much to say about this game. It's your typical FPS with decent characters. They're definitely above average for an FPS game, and that's definitely a strength of this game. And also, what you'll find is really awesome kill combinations. That was definitely a strength of this game. So I think I'm going to end the review here, guys. The game, now I'll actually address this question before I end the video. Should you buy this game? Now I'm just going to say, if you got this game with PlayStation Plus, I recommend you definitely play it. It's a 7 out of a 10 if you paid for it. If you didn't pay for it, I think it gets higher rankings because it's a free game. I definitely recommend anybody who's into shooters in general, who already purchased this game with PS Plus, go ahead and play it. You'll enjoy it, and because the kills are just really satisfying. However, if you are now being required to pay for this game, I recommend you buy this game if you are someone who enjoys FPS and is willing to look past the mediocre story, but really want awesome gore. You just, like, maybe you got home from work, you just want to let out all that anger out in killing some really awesome baddies in some really awesome ways, and really unique ways, really gory ways, really interesting ways. So if you are someone who fits that description. I definitely recommend you buy this game, even if it does cost money. Just go ahead and purchase it and play it. You'll enjoy it. But if you are not one of those people and you did not get this game when it was free for PlayStation Plus users, definitely I would say probably skip this game. Probably avoid this game. It's a good game, but it's just not worth buying if you are not that specific type of player that I described previously. So with that information, be sure to buy if you want to. Just remember that this is my own opinion. I'm not saying that you must buy. I'm not saying that you can't buy the game. Do whatever you wish. This was just my own opinion, and do whatever you want. I'm going to end the video here. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to drop it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you later.